So, I don't really care too much about the whole drama going on between, like, Candace Owens and fucking Erica Kirk. I do think that there is a significant moral danger for going after a widower. Because if it turns out it's all wrong and it's like these are false allegations, that's pretty fucking scummy. On the other hand, if it's right, and we're doing a massive if here, right? Then Owens is completely right to fucking like drill through the issue to try to get this resolved, right? That being said, I personally, I'm not familiar with all the details that's been brought up by the conspiracy side. And when I say conspiracy, I don't mean that to downplay that particular side. It's just objectively speaking, that side that Candace Owens is pushing is about a conspiracy, about like a cabal, about an organized effort to commit some kind of wrongdoing. It is literally a conspiracy theory. Some conspiracy theories are true, some are not. It's not that fucking hard to understand. But I have to explain that because a lot of people just won't seem to get that. I see Nux. I love how he dunks on her. It is entertaining, yes. But yeah. So I did find out that Candace Owens might need to do a little bit of work on her own epistemology because it does seem like it is a little easy to troll her. And again, I don't really have a dog in this fight. It's just something I've observed, and Nux does tend to actually show receipts, so I'm gonna watch this to see what the hell's actually going on, right? So this is, hold on. This video is titled, Watch Her Realize It All Fell Apart, It's Over. Again, it's the old Nux Taku thing that he does where he, like, clickbaits. I got a big tub of art supplies off Facebook Market and went through to see what works, and I rubbed my middle finger that I used to write raw on the knuckle. Ooh! Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that happens.
Well, the conspiratards are pushing all of their theories about how actually it's the Jews that are tricking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Muslims to invade Europe. Now, I do have to say, I
will say that Kirsha does have some information that seems to indicate that Israel may have actually been involved in that entire situation. But that being said, so was fucking Iran, right? Iran has been funding the Sawari Arab Democratic Republic for like decades now to cause chaos in Morocco and in Spain, right? Hello, Kura. So I don't particularly like the Sawari Arab Democratic Republic either, right? But again, what Morocco pulled is completely unacceptable. And, you know, in my opinion, is the Spanish government has completely betrayed its own citizens. And I think that the Spaniards would, in theory, I know they're not going to do it in reality, but if they had decided to do so, I think that they would be totally within their rights to boog and fucking overthrow their, let's be fair, oppressors at this point, right? But let's be fair, that's not going to happen. Spain's not going to do that. Spain may be the rightful inheritor to the Roman throne, right? What with the Spanish crown receiving inheritance from the Byzantines by will, right? And so therefore by Roman law. But I don't really care. I don't really care if that's like the last legitimate heir to fucking Rome is the Spanish crown. If the crown is not fulfilling its function, then the crown has no right to exist, right? It's the same thing with like the Constitution. It's what Kirsche keeps bringing up, right? It's like either the Constitution has permitted or been unable to stop this, in which case, in either case, it is unfit to exist, right? Which is a foundational reasoning that even the founders understood, right? They had an original constitution, the Articles of Confederation, which they overthrew in order to get a better articulated system, right? We can do the same thing, and we might actually have to. That being said, it's like if the same thing happens to the Spanish crown, I don't exactly feel bad for the Spanish crown or like the Spanish government, to be perfectly honest. What they've been doing and allowing is fucking ridiculous. This video, lol, Candace really is special. I don't know what it is. So, again, as I already said, I don't really know what's going on between her and, like, Erica Kirk. I don't really care. But there is a line between malice and, foolishness that can be really hard to distinguish at times, right? And I'm not entirely sure that Malice is not involved in some of this. Personally, I can't prove it, honestly. It's just what I get listening to some of this stuff. It could be that she's also just having a psychotic break, right? And I just might be a little bit, a little bit judgmental. That could also be the case. So I will let reality as it unfolds, right, dictate whether or not I was right or wrong on this issue. But I've never personally trusted Candace. Like, I've never really watched her. Like, I've seen a couple of her stuff, but I've never trusted her personally. So it's like, when all this happened, I was like, I'm not exactly surprised. Europe is cucked, spineless losers. I mean, basically, yeah. I honestly feel, I can't prove it, but I believe she got well, I'm not gonna go that far, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I could see how it's like that, because like some of the shit that people have been saying is like, oh yeah, he was shot from below. It's like, first of all, I saw the video. No, he wasn't. Second of all, because again, I have, I can go and rewatch the video, not on stream, obviously, right? I'd get fucking decapitated by ninjas. By TOS ninjas, right? But like, no, looking at the video, he did not get shot from below. That's very fucking obvious. But there is a certain degree to where I could understand. I would disagree, but I could understand how someone would come to the conclusion of, it seems a lot like projection. And again, I personally don't see any reason to believe that, but I can't really blame anyone for coming to that conclusion. The behavior is kind of suspicious at times, right? Stopped watching one YouTuber when she was pushing Candace and her conspiracy theories, Owens. I mean, that's entirely fair. Like, I can put up with conspiracy theories. It's just, they just come to a point where it's like, it does get a little bit egregious, right?
To talk about the other conspirators, because the truth of the matter is, of course, Jews control Muslims like with their minds. That's a known fact. This is why Muslims have historically never ever bothered Jews.
Is it? Oh my god! I remember a fucking memory TV clip where it's this black Arab guy, right? Black Arab, quote unquote, right? And he's just like, we can smell a Jew, and I'm like, really? Really? These are the people of timeless wisdom that I need to take into consideration. I don't really think so.
Now the thing is, Candace Owens has been pushing a lot of really interesting theories as to who really killed Charlie Kirk. Well, she recently was told by someone that she is on the right track. And this is pretty great stuff. And then we're going to talk about the COVID stuff. We have so much to talk about.
Back to you guys as well, because I wasn't in a good place last year. I wasn't in a good place in Q1 of this year. I'm now in a good place. And I also just feel, if we're allowed to feel, I just feel Charlie's presence now. Like it's like we're on one more tour. Like one more.
Ma'am, that's the devil. That's not Charlie. Sorry, bro. She is committing shirk every single day. She out here praying to humans and stuff.
Or fight, like we're just.
I mean, if there are ghosts, right? If there is an afterlife, then I don't exactly see why a ghost can't, maybe a little bit interact with the physical world. But it's like, if that is the case, if there are ghosts, then not all ghosts would be human. And I'm curious as to how you can discern a human ghost from a not human ghost, right? That one tree ain't no snitch. Oh, it's the Garkad, right? The Garkad ain't no snitch. He stands with his crew. A shade in the heat when they're coming for you, right? Then they have canine traits they might not want to admit having. Oh my god. So, funny enough, the fucking Spaniards in... the fucking Spaniards just, like, taking dogs with them everywhere because, like, again, Moroccans don't like dogs. I'm like, that's actually really fucking clever. That's actually brilliant, right? In fact, import more dogs, right? Fucking make it dogland, right? Yeah, oh my god. But yeah, no, just that complete fiasco that happened with Spain is fucking unacceptable. As far as I am concerned, they have lost the mandate of heaven, right? So
hitting the ground again right now. I know he's on our side, I guess is what I'm saying.
Charlie Kirk spends his entire life fighting against anti-Semitism and fighting for this. He was more pro-Israel than I am, just gonna let you know that, all right?
It was a little cringe. It was a little cringe, to be perfectly honest. But that being said, I do prefer Israel over Palestine, to be perfectly honest, right? Not that I think we should be entangled in the conflict at all, to be perfect, again. But that being said, if I have to pick one, I'm probably gonna pick Israel, because Palestine would be pulling all of the same shit it could do if it was in the same position Israel had, right? Oh my god, I don't think people understand. It's like, again, it's like Islam, it's all right there. You can go read it. There's all the hadith are out there in English for you to read. The Quran is there. There's 5 different, I have 5 different translations. I'm not saying you need to have 5 different translations. All you got to do is actually study Islam and realize, oh yeah, this is completely incompatible with the West. Why the fuck are we, oh wait, that's why we're importing them into Western countries through, again, these non-maintained borders. Is the reason why we're importing through asylum. The reason why we're doing this is because the people in who are actually running these things, they don't actually like Western civilization. They don't actually like Western culture. They don't like the Christian West or even the secular West, to be perfectly honest. They want the fucking Marxian West, the Marxian vision of like the world, which would obliterate the distinction between the West and the East, right? So, yeah, all of this it's not incompetence. This is all calculated. Walk your dogs, wear bacon-strewn necklaces in lieu of garlic necklaces. Save yourself from them, right? How long has the conflict been during again? It depends, because there's more than one conflict. There's absolutely more than one conflict. The conflict between Morocco and Spain, for example, is completely independent of the conflict between Israel and Palestine, for example, which is also distinct from the conflict between the Uyghurs and the Chinese, and is also distinct from the conflict between Pakistan and India. It is also distinct from the conflict between, Muslim and Christian Sudanese. You kind of get where I'm going here? You kind of see how many conflicts I'm mentioning that have been going on for quite a while that involve this one particular commonality, right? You get what I'm dropping down, right? Oh my god. And it's not like the Muslim Brotherhood hasn't basically outlined this entire plan of how to destroy the West through like population replacement, like it's like a century-long project. Oh my god, just the ignorance of Islam is like really annoying to me sometimes. Let's see. For Passover, use pig's life liquid and bacon grease. Protect your homes, right?
He was fighting for the Jewish state. Dies. Candace Owens shows up. Destroys his wife, destroys his company, basically perverts everything he says. Actually, all the things that he said was wrong. Now she's friends with a demon who is wearing a...
I meant Palestine-Israel. Honestly, with the Palestine-Israel thing, it's really since the foundation of Israel, right? So this was a thing that happened after the Second World War, so it's not nearly as long of a conflict as people actually think it was. But at the time, right, so the Ottoman Empire would have been the one that would have controlled that territory during World War One. Before World War One, they lost that territory to the British Mandate, the war and all that, right? So it was British territory, and then the Brits decided to divide the land between the Arabs and the Israelis, which, by the way, that land was largely uncultivated as well, right? It's not that people didn't live there, it was also largely uncultivated, because, just because people live in an area doesn't necessarily mean they cultivate the land, right? So... and the whole idea was, hey, if Europe is going to be such a problem, let's go put them over here, right? There's actually more than one reason Israel was founded. Depending on who specifically was involved that you're talking about, they may have very different reasons for establishing Israel. And in fact, actually, funny enough, there were a lot of Jews who opposed the foundation of Israel by human hands, right? Because the whole idea that a lot of Orthodox Jews had and still have, by the way, is that founding Israel through human efforts would be ultimately illegitimate, because Israel is supposed to be founded by the return of the Mashiach. So, let's see. Palestine didn't exist. The letter P didn't exist in their culture. It's literally built on King Solomon. That's not that's not a good argument. So the whole PB thing isn't really a good argument, because one is like the whole pronunciation of Palestine is actually a Latin pronunciation of the same word we would call the Philistines, right? Because it was the land of the Philistines. So when the Romans took it over, there's no f sound in Latin. So then what ended up happening is it got pronounced as a p sound. So it's the Palestine, so it became Palestine. So yeah, the etymological argument is a bad one. That actually just doesn't map onto the reality of the region. But there are also better arguments to be had other than, you know, they didn't even, you know, Palestine wasn't even a thing. The best argument is just an argument from reality of it doesn't fucking matter if the foundation of the state was actually legitimate. The people are here now and they have nowhere to go, right? Like, what are the options to deal with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? If we give Palestine control over the entire territory, they're not going to treat the Israelis very well. Let's be perfectly honest. Not because like Palestinians and Israelis have a intrinsic enmity to each other, but because Palestine is ruled by Hamas, and Hamas is a, you know, terrorist organization that seeks the genocide of Jewry, right? So if we do the one-state solution and make it all one Arab state, well, the Jews are going to have a bad time in there. Second of all, like, okay, let's say we do the one-state solution and then we try to return everyone back to the lands they came from. One, a lot of Israeli families are now mixed, right? So then what country are we sending them back to? Two, do the countries that we would theoretically send them back even want to cooperate with this, right? So just objectively speaking, what is a one-state solution other than from the, you know, what is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free in any realistic, like, plan other than just marching the Israelis into the ocean, just like the Ottomans did to the Armenians, right? The Young Turks marching the Armenians into the sea is effectively what from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is advocating for, even if they don't necessarily know it. So, and I think a lot more people do know it than are letting on, but I don't think everyone does. So, like, just objectively speaking, you could literally call these people out about complaining about this because it's like, well, the deed is done, right? These people have no real place to return to. What do you think? Germany's going to open up their borders to, like, receive, like, the Ashkenazim that, may have come from them, right? Do you think Spain's going to take back the Sephardim, right? You think the Mizrahi that live there are going to go back to fucking Iran, right? I'm just saying, pragmatically speaking, it's not really feasible. Right? When we're talking about geopolitical conflicts, when we're talking about, like, human lives, you have to work in the realm of the real. And, like, all these idealistic complaints, that's all that is. It's just moral gas. It's moral masturbation, to be perfectly honest. Because, like, they're saying things to make themselves sound like the good guy, but they haven't actually put any thought as to how to actually solve the conflict at hand, right? And really the only way to solve the conflict at hand, realistically, seems like it might just have to be a two-state solution to avoid, to avoid a situation where things would just get way out of hand way too fucking fast, right? So I don't really think there is any realistic, clean solution to the conflict anytime soon. I think that there could be one over time, but it would be one that would have to involve a lot of cultural changes overall, probably in both countries. Let's see. Fair, then I'll say Palestine isn't mentioned in the Quran, but Israel is. Okay, that's a funny one. I'm going to use that. the queer and oh my god, right? Remember the men of Al-Zut. Remember the men of Al-Zut, right? Islam truly is the gayest religion. Oh my god. Glass is clean, low. Just taking the piss. I know. It's just it is a subject where it's like, again, people want to, like, pretend like there are easy solutions to these problems, where it's like, no, any solution you're going to give is going to have a lot of negative externalities that are going to really fuck a lot of people up, right? The real question is, like, again, like, let's not be idealistic about this. Let's be realistic about this. Like, if we're, like, in general, when we're going to talk about, like, Israel and Palestine, for, like, seriously, right? We're not joking, like, right now, right? But, like, if we're going to seriously talk about, like, Israel and Palestine, one thing we got to call people out for is, are they being idealistic? What is the actual practical solution to the problem? Is that actually feasible to do, right? And it seems like a lot of people don't ask these questions. Let's see. Anyways, if we comply, they are going to ask for more reparations. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of either of, like, Morocco or Spain right now. Like, Spain keeps fucking up. Spain keeps fucking talking shit about the United States, right? Not the Spanish people, but the Spanish government, right? And they won't fucking pay their NATO dues. So I'm like, okay, if you're not part of NATO, then you don't get covered by the NATO, like, agreement. That's as simple as that, right? Pay your fucking dues. On the other hand, I'm not a big fan of Morocco either. So There's a lot of conflicts around the world are between peoples where I'm like, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I would way prefer Spain win this conflict over, for example, Morocco. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not a big fan of the Spanish government. I just want the people of Spain to have a better situation. And the people of Morocco. Now, the way the people of Morocco have a better situation, they leave Islam and they convert to almost anything else. Fucking Christianity, preferably, right? The way Spain gets better, overthrow your fucking socialist government, either by vote or by act. But stop being fucking socialist. Oh my god. I don't believe idealism should even be on the table, in all honesty. As totalitarian as that sounds, pragmatism is not something worth considering at this point. Okay, so it depends on how we define pragmatism, because there's different definitions for the word depending on where and when it's being used, right? Which is why I don't particularly like the word. Idealism, yeah, I don't think idealism should really be in a conversation about any of this stuff, because idealism it's in the name, about idea, right? It's about the abstract, the abstraction of the idea. It's not really about touching the real in the real concrete world. Spain is weird, always going in polar opposites. V had a good stream on the subject. Oh, he probably did. I gotta watch that later.
Skin suit.
And that energy of Charlie was just so big and so bright that we're very lucky that we have him on our side. I wouldn't want to be up against him, that's for sure.
Look, I understand that, like, she's either Catholic or Orthodox. I legitimately don't know. But it's like, what the fuck are we doing here, right? You can't really have certainty of the state of someone's soul in Christianity in general, right? It's entirely possible, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing this being said. It is entirely possible for a soul to turn away from God under Christian logic, at the very last moment. This is something that, like, anyone who's deep in, like, any of the Protestant, Catholic, or, apostolic, even in most restorationist world, churches, would, at least if you pressed them, that would be able to admit, yes, at the very end, it is entirely possible for someone to turn away from God, and therefore, instead of going to heaven, go to hell. It's also entirely possible for the opposite to happen. It is entirely possible for an act of perfect contrition to happen, where someone who lived a sinful life turns away at the last moment, and in an act of perfect contrition, that pleases God, and then God takes him into the kingdom, right? Probably passing through purgatory first. But, you can't, so even if someone does end up going to heaven, you don't know if they're in heaven or in purgatory. If they're in purgatory, they probably want your help. If they're in heaven, then they're probably seeking to help the people on earth, right? That's just basic Christian theology. But again, as a Catholic, she should know that, like, you can't really know whether or not someone's in purgatory or the toll houses if she's Orthodox. I assume she's Catholic, but I don't know. Or like in heaven. You can't really tell. So this has always just kind of bothered me, right? Because it's like, if someone you love dies, and then you assume that they're in heaven, right? Then you're not gonna pray for them, right? And even if you don't believe in purgatory, there's still a reason to pray for the dead on, in Christian theology, because God is not bounded by time. God knows the future. He experiences the future, past and present, all at once, right? So when a person is on their deathbed, right, he can still use the prayers in the future to affect things that would happen relative to that prayer in the past. It's actually not that hard for God to do that, right? He is the source of grace. And again, the whole point about praying for the people around you, right, that is literally intercessory prayer. If I go to you as a friend and I'm like, hey, pray for me, I am asking for intercessory prayer, right? So the whole thing is like, that's why you pray for the dead. That is an intercessory prayer that, basically a petition to God to help your friend or your loved one, who you cannot know the ultimate fate of their soul, right? Sorry, she's talking about religious stuff, so I kind of have to bring this up, right? Because this has always been a real big fucking pet peeve of mine. But yeah. So yes, if you are religious and someone dies, pray for them, not because you think it's going to save them, but because, God may very well, it may be a thing that God at the very last moment to try to reach a soul may make them aware of like the prayers that people give, on their behalf, right? To try to again soften their heart and let that door open so God can finally shine his light through and grab his ass from the edge of the fire, right? Oh my God. This is such a basic concept and no one fucking does it. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Me crashing out about this, like, how does one typically deal with parasites? You get rid of them, right? Let's see. From an objective standpoint, it's not a valid opinion. Sorry, I'm not finding the correct words tonight. Faith can be lost as much as it can be found. Yes, exactly. And that can be also at the very last moment, right?
So,
He's dead, actually.
yeah, they couldn't cage him.
Yeah, I think she needs an exorcism, actually.
His
Yeah, this is where again Nux, and again she's leveraging her Christian religion, is kind of like clashing here, because I don't know what Judaism doesn't really teach a lot about the afterlife, right? That's one thing. It's the whole joke about like you get 3 Jews in a bar and then you'll have like 5 opinions, right? It's like Judaism, there are a lot of open questions in Judaism, whereas like there's also a lot of like doctrinal answers in Christianity, and some of those answers do allow for, in the Christian perspective, that for the souls of the dead to appear as to the living on very restricted occasions based on whether God allows it or not, right? So, but it also, again, God also allows the devil to appear as an angel of light, sometimes impersonating, even God himself. So again, you gotta, if you're a Christian and you believe in this stuff, you probably got to be really discerning about this. Let's see. Ivermectin works on viruses and worms. I'll have to look into that. I've heard about that, but I'd have to look into that.
I wake up and I just see every trend dedicated to Charlie in the news.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When the whole COVID thing happened, I just straight up didn't take anything for it. There were multiple strains of COVID, right? So there was like more severe strains, and there was also very weak strains. And I think I got a weak strain when that was going on. But if it wasn't that, then I never caught COVID. So it's like, it's not like I fucking needed it.
News and people discussing it, and I just laugh at the idiot fools who thought they were just going to end the Charlie Kirk story at a memorial convention, which was effectively thrown like it was a concert, and now those people who were so happy. So
He is so happy that we're still talking about how a really good innocent man was murdered in front of his family.
Also, she's making a lot of claims about how other people's internal states of affairs are, right? You can't read the minds of other people. So I guess I don't know how she knows this, right? But just because you hold a memorial doesn't mean that you've closed the book on someone's story, right? It turns out a person can influence the living even after they die, right? You don't even have to believe in a soul. Even atheists understand this, right? It's like a person's impact can still persist even after they themselves no longer do, right? So this line doesn't make any sense to me. You're basing it on the fallacy of man to believe God can be constricted by man's laws. They are bound by God, not bound by time. The creator of time itself obviously cannot be bound nor operate by something he created. Man, often incapable of understanding this. Lean not into your own understanding. No, but that was my exact point. That was actually my exact point, though, is that since God created time and he's not in time, right, that he's not subject to the same limitations temporally as everyone else. So that's actually an argument for like praying for the dead. Exactly that. Is that because God is not restrained in that way we are, that yes, there is a retrocausal possibility where something in the relative future can affect something in the relative past, right? Like, again, like if someone dies, if someone dies, obviously when you pray for someone, you expect that to affect, the person that you were praying for in some way, even if they don't know about it, right? Because God is the one who does the work. The prayer is to God, and then God, is the one who actually decides whether or not he's going to impart grace or not into that person, right? But he does so oftentimes by request because he wants someone to ask, in the first place, right? It's like, why do you pray to God if God already knows what you want? Because he wants you to ask for it, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to like helping your friend, right? It's like, why does God ask you to help your friend? Oh, because he actually wants you to personally ask for you to help your friend, right? So that's why that particular grace is withheld until it is asked, because God is waiting for you to actually fulfill the function he wants of you. He could do it without you, but he withholds that grace because he wants you to be the one involved in there, for you to be the one to ask it. And it's the same thing with, like, again, like, why do you pray for like, anything else? It's because God wants you to be the one to directly ask him for that thing, right? He actually takes pleasure, he takes joy in his children asking him for things, even for asking his children to help his other children, right? So, I'm agreeing, just explaining it in more layman's terms. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, we're all on the same page, it seems, right? Does she know, or does she extrapolate most of it on logic? I have no earthly idea. I was able to figure out a decent chunk of this on my own, not all of it, obviously, but like when I was in the military studying Christianity for the first time, the purgatory thing I figured out on my own, and then I found out more about it and was like, oh shit, okay. Like the theosis thing, I had more or less figured out on my own. The praying for the dead one I figured out on my own. There's a lot of things I didn't figure out on my own, because it turns out there's only so much you can infer from inference, right? But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Christianity that you can, once you understand the basic premises of, like, reason to. Not all of it, but there is a lot. The students from the school of Leering are at it again, right? She has no logic. I'm not sure about that, but I do think that there was a period of time where she may have gone through, like, because there's been a lot of people speculating that maybe she had like a period of psychosis, and that's entirely possible. That does happen, right? Just your friendly neighborhood Kura Huckleberry explaining. I mean, that's understandable. It's just I thought we were disagreeing for a moment. I was like, hold on, let me explain. Let me just be clear about like what exactly I'm saying, right?
He's so happy that people are still talking about it.
So happy at the memorial event.
Because hey, you wanted his legacy to actually make all the things that he worked hard for be great. Like, you know, he fought for Israel. He fought for Turning Point USA. All right. Well, she's against all that stuff. Right? You know, she's out there. She's having sex with her husband, and she's screaming Charlie's name. You know that.
That is a little crass, and I didn't want to hear that. And I didn't want to hear that.
Clinking glasses thereafter are very bitter and very angry.
Check your gas detectors, people.
And somehow, not in the immediate aftermath, they weren't angry. Now they're.
Oh yeah, I forgot she was a young Earth creationist. I don't know if she's a young Earth creationist based on like memes, like if she's just like if she's like memeing it, or if she actually is a young Earth creationist. But like, I actually forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me about that. Cosmic, me and you rarely disagree when it comes to Christianity, which is wild considering you're Catholic and I'm unaffiliated. Well, you know, great minds think alike, as they say, right?
Very angry. I wonder why that is.
Holy shit, she's evil. Anyway, so she had
Everyone knows it's the
Freudian
aliens.
slip where she admits she might have committed a felony.
Hold on, I'm gonna go back because I think that, yeah, okay, so now I can actually see what the tweet is. Let me turn off this for just a moment. Okay, so I'm gonna read the tweet. Let me turn myself off for just a moment. Candace had a very revealing Freudian slip here. Our source, the person who recorded before stopping herself. She basically just hinted that the footage of Tyler Robinson she released is a screen recording of security footage. Under Utah's Code of Judicial Administration, this is strictly prohibited. So if the source, quote unquote, indeed recorded restricted exhibits without the judge's permission, he could face legal consequences and Candace could have her assets seized. Yeah, you don't want to fuck with the judicial process, right? Makes sense. She does seem like a jilted lover of Kirk. They did seem to have some kind of relationship, like where Candace may have been interested in him, but to be fair, it's a little banal to me, and I don't really know the details of it. So it's like I've heard that that's the case, but I can't really confirm it or deny it because, like, again, it's just nothing that ever interested me. But I just saw this behavior after he died, and I was like, what in God's name is going on? the dinos was a drawing God wasn't happy with and erased them.
Anyway, so she had a bit of a Freudian slip where she admits she might have committed a felony.
And most people don't even see a gun. I would like to stress that. We have seen no evidence that there
was no gun. Tyler Robinson, the guy that shot Charlie Kirk, actually didn't have a gun. Maybe it was an exploding microphone.
was even
Yeah, I don't buy the exploding microphone theory. I've heard people explain it, but I'm like, okay, are there any fragments of microphone in Kirk's body that were recorded? No. Okay. If it exploded with enough force to fucking blow a hole in his neck that looked like a bullet wound, which, by the way, his microphone wasn't even at, by the way, I would expect there to be shrapnel, at least small fragments of shrapnel in the body, right? What the fuck? She had the opposite of jungle fever. I'm pretty sure there's a word for that, right? Let's see. We have to look for the discarded junk code. Yanderes, kuderes are hotter. I'll let you all debate that one.
a gun on the rooftop.
Whoa!
Even our source, the person who recorded,
Even our source, the person who recorded.
Who is your source that recorded, Candace? Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah. That does look like she's processing information. Like, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. She did an oopsie poopsie.
in that recording,
Uh-oh.
he doesn't
In that recording, it changes it up a little bit.
say or show a gun.
What did he mean by that? Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay. I'm definitely, just from that, I think if I were to probabilistically weight the yay or the nay on that, just based off of, again, the way she reacted to her own words, I would be more on line of, like, I would suspect that this claim is more likely true than not, but it also, I don't know, there could be another reason why she acted this way. I don't know. That's just... I could see why people are, like, again, coming to this conclusion. Hello, Trauma Tuna. Let's see. Candace Owens is an idiot. I would generally agree. A bot idiot. I can't prove that, but considering some of the wild takes she and Tucker Carlson have had, yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion a lot of these people are bought by Saudis, Qataris, and others. Let's see. There was no smoke after the wound, so not explosion. Yeah, again, you could look at the video and I'm like, because when I heard the exploding microphone theory, I went and I rewatched the assassination footage. I was like, that doesn't look like an exploding mic. It just fucking absolutely not. Let's see, that or going frosty. Yeah, because artifacting from a secondary recording never happens and totally couldn't be edited. Exactly, and this is also why it's like I don't like it when people just like release fucking DMs. It's like, do people understand how easy it is to fake a DM? Right, it's not that hard to actually come up with a somewhat convincing DM leak.
That's really awkward. Our source, the person who recorded. Interesting. So you're saying that security footage of Tyler Robinson that you released is a screen recording of security footage, which is a penalty, a felony under Utah state law. Again, I'm just saying that's pretty weird. Also, she has 7 minutes of footage that she never released. This is a known thing that everyone's talking about that she never wanted to say. Well.
Okay, so this is obviously a business move. Let's be perfectly fair, right? To pretend like Candace Owens isn't business-minded in at least some degree would be completely disingenuous, right? She's obviously making money off this. This doesn't necessarily mean she's lying, because you can also be money-minded and still tell the truth, right? But like to pretend as if she's not also doing a business doing this is kind of disingenuous. And yes, she has to hold on to some of what she has, if she has something, in order to, again, be the first one with the story. But at the same time, did she give this to potentially like the investigators? Like, is she holding on to information that the investigators don't have access to? Or did she get access to something that the investigators have that she shouldn't have access to? Or is it possible that she's just talking out of her ass? I don't know. But it's just, again, when I hear people say, like, oh yeah, I have a secret source, I'm like, okay, you gotta show me some evidence to believe, you gotta show me some reason to believe that you actually have this secret source.
Candace Owens is having a really, really bad day. You see, Candace is saying, finally, the people are on her side.
Okay, so interesting comments coming in regarding medical examiner's reports on Charlie. Things are certainly going to get interesting. Just how magical was this bullet? Oh my god. Okay, so I know what this is. I know what this is. This is actually really funny because I knew that something like this was eventually going to happen, right? And I don't know how she fell for this because this is very clearly a troll. She got fucking trolled with this one. Hello, Fushisi. Candace and Tucker, they are bought, they are captured. The largest component of their audience. Care to take a guess what it would be? Pakistanis? Yeah, I mean, that's also true, right? You got to go where the money is, but again, it could be that they're both caught by the same thing. It could also be that they're doing this for different reasons, right? People are individuals, and sometimes people do things for the same motive, and sometimes people do the same thing for different reasons. I don't know these people well enough to really make an assessment of them, so I'm just operating agnostically here, right? I know a little bit about both. I don't know a lot about both, so I'm trying to be like modest here to an extent. She's playing an angel. Oh, she's playing an angle. That's clear. That one was on me. I had a dyslexic moment for a moment. Let's see. Sounds like she obtained files illegally from the court case via insiders. Well, she's gonna get found out if that's the case. Because all that has to happen is someone who is actually familiar with the case just notices and make, hey, how did you get this, right? So many people talk out of their asses, they forget they have a mouth. That's funny. Could it be similar to Hassan Piker, who just goes in the direction of where the chat pushes him? That is a good question, but again, I don't watch Candace Owens, so I couldn't really say anything about it. Like, because I don't know what her chat is like, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was the case, and it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't the case either, to be perfectly honest.
This is a comment that got 300 likes on her YouTube video saying, I am a surgeon. Based on the medical examiner's report, the trajectory from the roof is not possible. Charlie was hit in the low neck. The medical examiner's report said the cervical spine was dramatically gone and the L side of the C2, C7 was obliterated. To have the effect on the C2, it would have to have been an upward trajectory from the point of entry on the neck. I heard a podcaster, Project Constitution, say that Charlie was wearing a road transmitter in his L waist. Interesting. If this had a shaped charge, the trajectory would make sense for entering the low neck and hitting the spine.
Okay, that is entirely horseshit. That is horseshit. And yeah, so the person who did this actually took responsibility, and I will admit it was really fucking funny. It was really fucking funny. I'm like, how do you get trolled this hard, right? You know, people are like criticizing you. You should expect at this level that people will try to feed you false information, right? So Fushizi says, I exist in the same knowledge space with regards to them. I don't know them. I know about them. Exactly. They just Ace Ventura speak out the bum. Side note, John Thune has stepped down.
Well, the
Interesting. I'll have to look this up.
good news is there's another doctor, Wild Geese,
Where is
who
it?
said,
Here's-
I'm retired from medicine cardiology. I paused Candace's show to read the report, and I was shocked. The trauma to the carotid and jugular veins makes sense. The cervical spine and spinal cord, I'm okay with. But the injury to the heart and lungs, no. That sort of injury is either from a blunt force trauma, like a terrible head or car crash, or a crushing accident and industrial machinery, or, I didn't think of this possibility until half an hour ago, an explosion that went off.
Oh, you found out about the liberal hive mind?
Microphone. Wow. So we got two dumbass doctors in her comment section.
Oh my god, I gotta actually at some point actually just drop. Want me to grab the link? I'll go there. Yeah, you can drop the link because like I gotta watch the liberal hive mind at some point anyway, right? So it's like I might as well integrate that here because this is gonna be a 2-for-1 special before I move on to something else.
That are fighting on her behalf. All right, interesting comments regarding the medical examiner's report. Wow, interesting. You know what's even more interesting? What if those doctors were both Andrew Wilson's fake profiles writing ChatGPT slop?
You can't make this shit up, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, and yes, that's exactly what's going on here. It's fucking Andrew Wilson baited her into this comment, and it's just honestly, I respect the fucking I respect I respect it. Just this is a top tier troll, to be perfectly honest. Absolute mogged, mollywopped, hornswoggled, as some might say, right? I'm a surgeon, and therefore I know about ballistics, explosives, and forensic trajectory analysis. That's a good point. Now, I was going to bring that up too, actually. It's like, this is a thing where you see a lot of times where it's like an expert in one field will then step out of the field and then talk out of their ass, right? This happens all the time. I remember even like when I first started noticing this was like when I was significantly younger. And like I had noticed like people in like physics communities stepping out of their area and talking about things that I had known about, and them being completely fucking wrong about it and never actually admitting they were wrong, right? I remember in particular, like Neil deGrasse Tyson trying to talk about Motsu, and Motsu is a Chinese philosopher. I actually have a complete set of his works, and there is one book on from Motsu, which is titled "Against Fatalism," fate, right? And it was translated in a Cosmos episode by with Neil deGrasse Tyson as faith, you know. So instead of FATE, it was FAITH, which I guess is a mistake you could make on hearing in English. But the Chinese words do not sound alike, and the Chinese characters do not look alike, right? So this was not a normal mistake. This was a very obvious. Someone forgot to actually fucking double check their sources, right? And then they just, no one ever fucking admitted that this was a thing that happened. And it was like, motherfucker, we can all, anyone can fucking open this book up online and read it. What the fuck is going on here? So yeah, this kind of shit happens all the time. That's why it was absolutely top. It really was. Only stupid people won't admit they're wrong. Yeah, exactly, right? Cosmic is the guy everyone's parents warned them about. Well, I hope not, right?
What if that was the case? Now, I'll let you know. I actually did email her tip line about bees. All right, I didn't want to get into this, but I'm pretty sure she's quoted when she was talking about like the bee cult. Right, there was a bee cult that was of communists and feminists. All right, I was emailing her information that I was making up about the bee cult. Now,
Now, here's the thing. I didn't know about this, but at the same time, this is not surprising. Nux comes from like the older troll, you know, line. So yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing I could see Nux actually doing. And at hearing this, I'm just so disappointed in myself that I didn't actually just like troll and do the same thing. Right? I could have absolutely put a little bit of effort into trolling this entire situation. I just stayed away from it, and I'm like, damn, that probably would have been fun. I just don't have time to troll people anymore. It's just like, damn, that used to be fun. Right? The way the Y-Files, the basement, had a discussion with Mr. Ballin about ballistics in the 30-6 of the Kirk case. Interesting. Yeah, the 30-6 thing also, people have been trying to tell me, it's like, oh yeah, you couldn't conceal that. And I'm like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Because I don't own a 30-6, but I've been around my fair share of firearms, right? I used to be in the military, and granted, we all get like an M16 or an M4, right? I've also had, you know, been around other people's guns, right? You know, and I also have my own guns. So it's like, people were saying that, I'm like, I don't believe you know what you're talking about, right? Lefted parents warn children about, right? I keep hitting enter when I go for the quotation by accident. I do that too. I will troll twice as much as you. Godspeed, man. You're doing the Lord's work. I've hidden bigger. Right?
To directly quote like my full email, so I didn't say it out loud. But like I did this before too, and I don't know if part of the reason why she was running through with the bee cult, because I got multiple different emails to send her tips about the bee cult. I'm just saying. I did do that. I was waiting for her to like call out one of the emails by name so I would have receipts. She never did that, so I'm just saying. You know, I got really hairy with it. I was like, did you know that the one female prophetess in Judges, Deborah in Hebrew actually means bee? Radical feminists are actually pushing for using bees as their symbology to push themselves. And I came up with like this whole theory. All right, I sent it to Candace Owens. It was amazing. And she goes with the bee thing for like a couple of weeks until that was like a little too insane. Now, again, I don't know if she was actually reading my...
Cosmic is the guy... Okay, so Cosmic is the guy parents warn their kids about. No matter how good you are, someone out there is better. Oh, I've met my superiors as well, right? It is a always, no matter if you think that if you think that I'm that, if you think I'm above you, one, you're probably wildly overestimating my intelligence, to be perfectly honest. I just happen to have an autistic hyperfixation, right? I'm actually not that much cleverer than the average person, to be perfectly honest. I just happen to have a particular interest set. But I've also met people who wildly outclass me. So there's always a bigger fish.
Emails or whatever, but I am saying,
In reality, I am kind of a dumbass.
I did the same thing. So I fully believe him when he says this. So yes, it was a Mossad propagated disinformation campaign meant to annoy the dumbest fuckers on the face of the planet. So anyway, Candace Owens out here posting comments that were from him, actually pretty diabolical. Now, if in fact these are your posts, you realize you impersonated a surgeon who put out false information and investigated for practicing without a license?
I love how this is some fucking reckless Ben level of not understanding how the law actually works. He wasn't doing so in a professional capacity. He was trolling someone. No one was taking medical advice from the guy. Right? He wasn't... This Steph underscore 1776 person is a fucking idiot. Oh my god. I've seen someone hide a Subaru 30-inch barrel 50 BMG in their pants. A 30-06 is very believable. Exactly, right? Nux totally made the Raptor, or was that an older dyno he made? Your Nux lore might be slightly deeper than mine, to be perfectly honest, because I'm not drawing anything into my brain. You can give the ontological definition of things that smart people shit don't lie. No, that's just dumbass or ass of dumb, right? These are the questions that trouble men's souls, right? No, I just happen to be a very pedantic bastard because I also have a bit of a debate bro side to me, where it's like, depending on whether or not I respect you, if I find out I'm wrong, if I don't respect you, I could potentially still argue for like the next 10 minutes knowing I'm wrong just to piss you off, right? Turns out Steph is just Andrew on another alt. That would be a wild troll, right? He's meta trolling, right?
And his own fans be like, oh my god, you said you're a doctor in the comment section of a YouTube video. We're gonna kill you now. You're gonna go to jail. Yeah, all right, dude. Yeah, okay, all right. Now, so this guy,
Yeah, I do love how like people just came out of the woodwork to show, no, you can absolutely do this.
Owen Benjamin, he decided he is gonna prove Candace Owens correct. There is no way for him to sneak the rifle on the roof.
Okay, I was getting a little annoyed just seeing people like that I know better. I have a very similar gun to the alleged. This is a 30-06, same, I mean...
Just off the bat, similar is not sufficient. Because you could have a similar gun, but it is not the same gun. And the reason that's important is because of disassembly, right? First of all, like, you can disassemble a large weapon to make it easier to hide, right? By hiding not just one thing, but multiple things that are individually easier to conceal on various parts of the body, right? And to be honest, not everything disassembles the same way. Hell, certain things don't disassemble basically, and certain guns don't really disassemble at all, right? This is really basic information. So the question is, okay, yeah, it's similar, but does it come apart in the same way the 30-06 does, right? Just you have a very impressive memory and use it well. Again, I have my latest autistic hyperfixations, right? Nux is a troll and jokingly said he made it dino. I just forget which one. I'm gonna have to look this up. That actually sounds like a really funny troll. I will continue to argue just on principle. I am a brat. I do not acknowledge I am wrong unless I really like you as a friend. Okay, that's fair. Just wait. It's about to be hilarious.
Most people have this gun, okay? I know the people saying that
I will be honest, that's not one I have.
the footage is real have the same gun. I'm 6'8", okay?
You're also wearing tight pants.
Okay? I'm taller than...
Bro's like,
I have heard people trying to defend Tyler Robinson also say that he was basically wearing yoga pants, and I'm like, was he though? Was he though? Like you're saying you can see the video with enough clarity to tell the guy's basically in yoga pants, but it's so grainy that you can't really see his face. I don't really see that. I don't really believe that.
I am wearing fucking yoga pants and I can't fit a gun in here.
Michael Jordan. You see the bottom there? This is what it would look like in sweatpants. I'm 265 pounds, 6'8". This is retarded. Okay, this is like the dumbest, stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. And it's obviously not what anyone saw. This goes all the way down my leg. I mean, guys, if you're just a liar, why? Like,
Fantastic question.
This gets into Poe's law, right? I can't tell if this guy is trolling or if he's being genuine, right? Like I genuinely can't tell if this guy's being serious or if he's just kind of being a fool, to be perfectly honest. Because I don't understand how it's like, if you were to tell someone, it's like, okay, $1,000. If you can get this weapon across, without being seen, you can get the $1,000, right? Like, hypothetically, that situation, right? I'm pretty sure he would have figured out how to, again, disassemble the weapon and hide it in pieces across his body really fucking quickly. But there's no monetary incentive, so it didn't really. So there's no incentive to think about it, so it doesn't pop up. In fact, he might be negatively incentivized to not think about something like that. That dude is just an idiot. Maybe I'm being a little bit kind, right? MK1 might disassemble, but MK2 might not. Exactly, right? I would not be able to dissimulate my long rifle in one piece. Let's see. If you disassemble it, by definition, it is no longer in one piece. What? He's genuinely trolling? Okay.
Anyway, so this guy responds.
There's a rifle on my persons.
And this dude, he's not skinny either, I'm just saying. Bro's not like,
To put it back together, you literally just do this. And then this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just... I'm convinced a lot of these people who claim to have guns, who couldn't think about this, just objectively do not either have guns, right? It's not actually theirs, or they've never actually maintained their weapon, right? I don't understand how you can maintain your weapon and you can't understand this.
And then screw. Takes about 20 seconds.
Yeah, so anyway, it's not looking good for the conspiratards. I'm just saying. So Stu Peters, guy who recently got humiliated in a debate with Andrew Wilson, that I knew the wardrobe looked familiar. So this is Tyler Robinson on the roof, the guy that assassinated Charlie Kirk.
So you can't tell this is Tyler Robinson, but you can tell it's that person?
Allegedly. And this is Erica Kirk wearing a black hat? Interesting.
Wait, so you can't tell that that's Tyler Robinson on the video, but you can tell that that's the outfit? Yeah, that's like basic maintenance. Exactly. Two kind of idiots. Well, I don't like beating up on retards, so...
Interesting. Wow. So mystery solved. Mystery solved. We figured it out, actually. Pretty good stuff. Now, Stu Peters, for those of you unaware, I covered it briefly.
It's uncanny.
Stu Peters, this is my favorite Stu Peters tweet of all time. Again, I've told...
Okay, hold on. I have to rewind this because he's skipping over this tweet.
I covered it briefly.
Okay, so this came from Max Nordau. Stu Forkis, quote-unquote, Peters, never deleted this. What a legend. 94,000 followers, too. So let's see what it is.
Stu Peters, this is my favorite Stu Peters tweet of all time. Again, I've told you, I feel so bad for the anti-Semite movement because it's just completely overrun with, like, the dumbest people on the fucking planet. This full moon is out in the middle of the day. That's not supposed to happen. Like, bro.
What? What? Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to insult chat by explaining basic astronomy. I think we all went to fucking middle school.
This dude figured out the Jew cabal that's controlling.
I'm crying. It's literally just taking the stock off. Why are people making it sound like you gotta be a Navy SEAL to take a gun apart? Because a lot of these people have never actually held a gun, to be perfectly honest, it seems. I could take the stock off a rifle and put it back on as long as the optic isn't disturbed, since it's upper mounted. You won't even have to re-zero. Yeah. Depends on where you are on Earth. That dang moon is in Zombiac. Okay, it's funny.
It's truly incredible, man. Bro's name is literally stupider. It's like, you can't make this shit. It's true.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
The Jews didn't turn the moon off this morning. The Jews didn't turn off the moon. Anyway, so there's this old conspiracy that actually was proven correct. A new poll finds 40% of respondents believe a baseless conspiracy theory that the coronavirus is created in a lab in China. This was posted in 2020. Anyway, it has just been confirmed by the White House that COVID was actually created in a lab in China. All right.
I mean, yeah, when the lab leak theory came out, it was the one that made sense, right? Like I was initially under the impression, okay, it probably came from a fucking wet market initially, right? But as information came out, I was like, nah, you know what? It's probably the fucking no, the leak theory is probably true. And yeah, it just turned out that like what most of us came to the opinion of turned out to be true, right? It turned out to be the thing where it's like, yes, we are all telling you were all wrong, right? To the fucking establishment, because it turns out we all knew that they were lying, and they even knew that we knew that they were lying, and they still fucking lied to our face, right? We have been having a lot of eclipses this decade. I don't know. Well, there's also more cameras, you have to remember, right? So there's more opportunities to capture an eclipse in general.
Turns out the conspiracy theories were actually completely correct. All right, pretty wild stuff. Can we get an update on this, sir? Can we get an update? NPR making fun of the crazy conspiracy theories. Can we please get an update? Well, anyway, the Tulsi Gabbard made an entire massive video. It's got
turns out it was very true.
Views,
yeah,
4 million views, 250,000 likes.
No, it couldn't be the gay communist
Dr.
Chinese.
Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Look,
Now, here's the thing. They can't get him on specific crimes, right? But they could probably get him on other crimes. Because here's the thing. The president can only pardon you for federal crimes. He can't pardon you for state crimes. And, reasonably speaking, they should have gone after this man under, like, every conceivable state crime they could have come up with. But, you know, that's neither here nor there, right? More eclipses and blue moons. I haven't really been paying attention to the sky that often, so I haven't been paying attention to the astronomy reports, so I'm gonna have to look that up. Fun fact, today Fauci was found in contempt of Congress today. Yeah, so this is definitely going to be a debate in the court, right? Because his lawyer is going to argue that they were obviously fishing for a criminal statement. And so him pleading the fifth is legitimate because he has a reasonable expectation that they're fishing for a self-incriminating statement. But they're going to argue that he was already pardoned, and so since he was pardoned, they couldn't have found him guilty for any of it anyway. And so since they couldn't have found him guilty for any of it anyway, he didn't have a right to plead the fifth, because the fifth is only invocable when there is a reasonable, concern about being potentially prosecuted for a crime. The counter argument to that, though, is going to be from the defense that they already knew people were looking into revoking the pardon, right? If that was at all possible. So there was a reasonable expectation that anything he said could be used against him in a court of law. So there's going to be an interesting back and forth about this. Let's see. 5 to 8 in vote. Oh, damn, right? Now, I want to see this guy in prison, to be perfectly honest. So I'm not exactly going to complain. My money was used for evil. That pisses me off. All of our money is used for evil. And that should piss all of us off. Let's see. We have a lot of every decade. We can predict them millennia out at this point. I mean, we've always been able to predict the millennia out. Florida and other state AGs are going after him. Good. Blue Moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Cool, too bad. I either have work or it's cloudy. And that's another thing. Sometimes the eclipse just doesn't make it through because of weather. Let's see. But wasn't he pardoned? Why plead the fifth if you're pardoned? So again, they're going to say that he is pleading the fifth because he already knows that certain people in the government are trying to look to get the pardons themselves overturned. So he has a reasonable expectation that whatever he says will be used against him. That's going to be an argument they will make. I'm not saying I like the argument. I'm just saying that's an argument they will. Well, one of the many arguments they will make. They don't just happen because the moon is angry. Turns out when you cast a shadow of the environment, the 3D movement, it's going to land on the other thing sometimes. Wait, what did my state do? Well, if your state was mentioned a moment ago, it's they're going after Fauci, it seems.
Personally, don't like the idea of funding wars around the world, but I do think blowing up terrorists and pedophiles in the Middle East is better than giving money to Fauci to literally start a pandemic and torture America. Listen, that's just my hot take. Anywho, turns out he was lying about all the things. All that was insane. He was lying about all the things, turns out. Tucker Carlson immediately jumps on it. Megalomaniac, COVID, and the banality of evil. Some people assume Tony Fauci was either a brilliant scientist or an evil mastermind, or maybe both. His diary reveals he's just a vain teenage girl pining for cable news. Can you imagine if Fauci would have been Jewish? Holy crap. Tucker Carlson would have been...
Okay, so he's just talking about news people. Okay, that would make sense, because that would explain the rest of the things we're looking at here. Okay.
Heaven! But he had to be an Italian Catholic. This is so sad. Truly 9/11 for conspiracy theories.
I don't know that this guy's Catholic, to be perfectly honest.
A 2 hour long video. 2 hour long video finally breaking.
They were angling to catch him in a lie, and they knew it. Yeah, and they also knew that if you, again, don't have the... they also knew that if you are pardoned, if you're not really, again... if you're not under investigation, you don't exactly have a fifth, right?
It all down. Breaking down the entire thing. All right, so he's breaking down how it was a conspiracy theory and he knew about it all along, except he didn't know about it all along.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Can you use a new
The cash infusion thing is fun, but I got a second video after this to stitch together with this, so we're going to pass this. It doesn't get much more Jewish than that, it seems, eh?
Appreciated and honestly necessary. Back to the video.
But one last thing I wanted to get into, which is really funny. Does anybody remember? And please, if you...
Again, I told you this is my favorite community. It's watching all like the Jews did it community. They're my favorite guys, by the way.
That was a very interesting, and I guess this is a very interesting freeze frame to catch him on, too. Broken clock and all that, yeah. Let's see. I've been mostly offline over the last month, and even I've heard of some of the Fauci stuff, yeah. He was the one pushing AZT for AIDS in the 80s.
Remember this. Find the clip for me.
I love watching these guys.
Send it to me on Twitter. So I today saw Tucker Carlson's show about this. Tucker Carlson covered the pandemic, or rather the hearing of Anthony Fauci. And Fauci talks about Tucker in the journals, and Tucker's responding and reacting to it. See, this is one of the benefits of having been
Who puts, also small side question, who the fuck puts a biolab within breathing distance of a meat market? China doesn't have the same safety standards that America does. Just putting that out there.
around the block for as long as I have. Some of you guys are new here. Some of you guys say,
You have to remember, we have videos of China, of like people in China eating live like mice pups. So, like just like soaking living pups of like or kits or what is a baby mouse called? Anyway, eating like literally dunking baby mice in soy sauce and then eating them alive. So the sense of like what is and is not acceptable disease-wise seems to be very different.
I started watching when you started hanging out with Kanye, or I started watching your show after the Piers Morgan interview. I started watching after the Tucker interview. Well, I've been doing this show for 10 years.
Yes, when I say Chinese, I mean like literally mainland China, right? I'm not talking about like Malaysian Chinese or like Republic of China Chinese or like American Chinese. I'm talking like very specifically like communist country Chinese. nefarious dumb people, or communists, if you will, for short form. China has safety standards. I don't know about gutter oil. Yeah, the gutter oil is not the only thing. There's also the tofu construction. Yes, I'm not a Noahide, but I will agree with the Noahide law of against eating things while they are alive, right? Fish is one thing, but pinkies, ew. Yeah, exactly. Watch the China show to see a good side of China. I mean, obviously there's good sides to China, right? Not everything in China is going to be terrible, right? But still, China would be significantly better if they stopped being communist and, you know, started being, you know, a freedom-loving society, to be perfectly honest.
In case you haven't noticed.
All right, what happened?
I was doing the show in March 2020 when the pandemic started. And what I seem to recall from March 2020 is that when the pandemic arrived in the United States and we started to see a lot of cases in the US, and Trump was facing a decision about whether to lock down the country as they had already done in China, I seem to recall Tucker Carlson relaying a story about how he got in his car and drove all the way to Mar-a-Lago. And he drove to Mar-a-Lago on a mission. Very dramatic. Tucker got in his car and drove all the way to Mar-a-Lago to make a personal appeal to the president to lock down the economy. Anybody remember this?
Yeah, I do actually.
Some people...
Actually, now that you mention it, I do remember this, actually. Carlson says he felt obligation to meet with Trump on the virus. Oh, no.
Why is a news anchor meeting with the president to give advice on a virus response? Like, let that sink in. Why, again, it's like, I understand that, like, like, why is he getting a say in the issue of public health with regards to a pandemic, right? What authority does he have? You know, that. I hate these people. I looked at a building once. It was made by China. It fell down. Oh, it's a joke. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Did you look at it wrong? Let's see. The China show shows the real side of China. Okay. I know that, like, there's China Uncensored, for example, and they also do America Uncensored. I might have looked too hard and compromised its structural integrity. Like the eye of Barlow, right? I don't think he was a news anchor at the time. He might have gotten canned right after. I can't remember the Tucker Carlson timeline. That's fair, but it's like, again, why is he meeting with the president to discuss what to do about the pandemic, right? Like, that's my main question. Like, what authority, like, what authority does he actually have on this particular issue? A lot of news people think they're more important than they actually are. To be fair, a lot of people do, right? I think all of us at some point of our life think we're more important than we actually are.
Oh, no.
It's just some people never really grow out of that.
Oh, New York, the Fox News Channel, Tucker Carlson says he felt a moral obligation to meet President Trump and warn him personally about the seriousness of the coronavirus pandemic. Interesting. Shlomo Fuentes takes down the anti-Semites once again. No one saw this one coming.
I do remember the Nick Fuentes version where he was like, man, I just want what the Jews have, but for us, for whites, right? Like, I'm about to convert and say Hashem, right? I was like, okay, that's a funny skit. Holy shit. That is actually funny. I understand he's memeing, but holy shit, that's funny, right? No, I'm not the main character, right? I think I'm more important than I am. They aren't alone in that, right? In Canada, the news informed the government, and the government informed the news during COVID. Oh, so it was literally a fucking circular clusterfuck, eh?
Interesting how that happens. Wow. I didn't expect that at all. So Tucker Carlson, who's now gloating that I was right all along. 2-hour-long video. I was right. Fauci was evil. I saw it all coming. You literal liar. You actual shit. His entire audience is Pakistanis now, so no one's actually going to call him out on this shit. Right? But anyone that actually was around in, like, the conservative Fox News days, remember that Tucker Carlson was one of the most pro-lockdown people ever, because he's actually in my opinion, paid CIA asset. All right.
That wouldn't surprise me, to be perfectly honest. I didn't know about the pro-lockdown thing because I had stopped watching him quite a while before any of that popped off. So I actually didn't know that myself. I still think if people treated COVID like the flu a lot, less people would have died. Oh, almost certainly. A lot. One, there wouldn't have been as many suicides. Let's see. The government still informs the news. What do you mean? Yeah. It's always been the case, right? It is an unofficial fourth branch of government at this point in a lot of places. Orochimaru Fauci won't slither away this time. Oh, I hope not. I hope not. I hope they fucking throw the book at him.
My opinion, that's what we're dealing with. Cenk Younger is also trying to rewrite history. The thing that pissed me off about Fauci is that over a dozen scientists told him the virus was very likely man-made. Only 2 said it might have been come from nature. He lied about the scientists' consensus, and they concluded it was natural. That makes scientists look bad. My fucking...
This is not what makes science looks bad. What makes science look bad is when a bunch of communists come in and then they subvert the field. You know, with shit like feminist glaciology. Real field of study, by the way. God, I can't believe that's a real field of study. Or again, it's like, oh yeah, you can't actually ask this question. Why? We're getting consistent results here. We actually might be onto something. Our ideological overlords won't let you ask the question. That's on the IQ issue, by the way. Oh my god, you can't be honest. For a lot of these people, you can't seem to be honest about like the reproducibility crisis in a lot of these fields, right? Like, oh yeah, we can't really replicate some of these experiments in some of these fields. Oh, it's almost as if it's a soft science, and like even some of the hard sciences are a little bit stochastic or just entirely probabilistic when it comes to, again, specific high energy fields. But I fucking digress, right? Let's see. Law books are huge. Yes, they need to be slimmed down. Holy shit! There's no reason for laws to be as convoluted as they actually are. The speech laws in Canada are so bad right now. They really are, and getting worse. Yep. I need to check up to see if Alberta made any progress becoming independent. Oh, I hope the Albertans and like basically anyone who wants to become independent in Canada, I hope they can. Holy crap.
Bitch boy, all right? My animal-loving, abusing, child fat man. The Democrats lied. The leftists lied. The CIA lied to push leftoid propaganda campaigns.
I mean, what did you expect?
It's not Fauci lied about what scientists told him to make scientists look bad, so but my guy, what are we doing here? All right, in fact, if you look at old clips from the Young Turks, it is a nightmare.
I remember like the science trademarked meme from back in the day just because of the way Fauci actually carried himself, right? Oh my god.
Everyone who believes in the conspiracy is saying that he came out of a lab in Wuhan rather than through food at a market.
And he continued to push a conspiracy theory that has already been debunked by our
already been debunked. It's already been debunked, guys.
Intelligence community. This whole notion that the coronavirus was developed in a Chinese lab.
What a stupid notion. Totally debunkered.
That has been debunked.
Is that I don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
Right? I certainly don't trust reporters. Because reporters treated this initially as if it was nothing more than a crazy, unhinged conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So I don't know if she just doesn't remember doing this, because it's entirely possible that some of these people just don't remember saying this because of how much can happen in a year, right? But at the same time, it's like, there's no introspection here, right? You would imagine that if you're in a position like this, if you can remember making the statement back in 2020, I guess, right? You'd be like, hold on, maybe I am one of those reporters that I am complaining about right fucking now, right? Oh my god, just like projecting her own issue that she has with her own self onto everyone else. Oh my god. Let's see. Alberta is a bit of a shit show right now. I can tell you I'm in Alberta. The machine is in full deployment against us, but that is making more and more people want out. Thank God, right? Here's the thing. As soon as like one of these provinces of Canada breaks away, it's very likely that that's going to be extremely destabilizing for Canada, because Canada has always been kind of held together by duct tape and string, and like the hopes and prayers of, well, I mean, I guess Canadians, right? Let's see. I'm praying for my northern neighbor, right? Questions like no virus questions. It's large. It's a huge mess, especially with the Edmonton police coming out with an anti-hate speech campaign. Even the better parts of Canada sometimes can't help themselves, eh? Let's see. We may become a U.S. territory pretty soon. Territory is the key word there. We might have to wait a little while to get some of the cringe elements out of out of it before we can let y'all become a state, if that's the case. Heading home from work, be back. Understood. I mean, it's already coming apart at the seams. It's been coming apart at the seams for quite a while. It's just kind of accelerated.
So who do you trust?
Which reporters? Which reporters considered it a crazy conspiracy theory? You, bitch. Literally you.
Right? You can't trust the legacy media outlets because
Who could you trust? Who could you trust? Yeah, reporters lied to you. Yeah, which reporters, bitch? You? Literally you.
that was their narrative.
Look, I made fun of COVID when it just started. When COVID was starting, I made fun of COVID, and I got a community strike on my YouTube channel, and they took my video down.
It's came out of a city that has a
and we can't really do anything about that. But yeah, I think people all forgot that, like, again, the Obama and Biden administrations were literally breathing down the necks of a lot of these online companies, being like, hey, you do what we ask you to or else, right? Again, if our ancestors were still alive, you know, the founders, they would have booged out decades ago. Let's see. The moment we are given guns, we will remove the cringe. Exactly. Let's see. Did you see they shut down the snitch line for overuse? I did not.
Institute of Virology, a Chinese lab that worked on coronaviruses.
Wow. So Anna Kasparian asks, you can't even trust reporters anymore. They lie to you. And Cenk Uynger's like, yeah, you know who lies? The people that are connected to the virology institutes.
They also shut it down because they almost got crucified on social media. Understood.
An awfully large coincidence. And that's what I've thought throughout, that was an awfully large coincidence.
That's what I've thought throughout. Cenk Uynger says, looks at you straight in the eye. I've thought throughout that it was just a really weird coincidence that the people that were saying that it was actually not that was a conspiracy theory. That they had some sort of gain. They had some sort of gain. I thought it was an awfully large coincidence the entire time. Except you were literally.
See, I can admit, right, that, like, at the very beginning of all this, I didn't exactly have a reason to suspect it was a fucking, like, again, lab leak or like anything else other than a potentially natural mutation that just resulted in a new pandemic. That shit does happen, right? And then as evidence came out, I was like, oh shit, I was wrong. Apparently there is a reason to think about this, right? So it's like, again, just admitting that you either just didn't know something or that you were fucking wrong at a given time shouldn't be that hard. And this is the exact reason why people don't fucking like journalists. Is journalists have this damn, like, chip on their shoulder about being seen as, like, these, like, paragons of truth. But it's like, no, you're the same kind of retard the rest of us are. You just have a different, like, role to play in society. That's how Alberto rolls, if we told him. Let's see. Nux will deny it, but he is a prophet, a proper one, not like Mohammed. Let's see. Over time, everyone in the world will soon learn how inverted the sciences are. Yeah. Medical lysenkoism is going to get a lot of... Medical lysenkoism is already probably going to have gotten a lot of people killed. And it doesn't look like the medical lysenkoism problem is going away anytime soon. Worst case scenario, a lot of people are going to die, even if there is no communist revolution, just because of the medical lysenkoism.
One of the major pro-lockdown dumb fucks in the entire country. Right? You must have been tickling horses in the nether regions before when you were not paying attention. That
is what they were talking about. I was wondering about, like, the comment he made earlier. He's like, is he talking about the horsecock thing? So he is talking about the horsecock thing.
Literally one of the major pro-lockdown, pro-vaccine propagandists that were advocating for the deplatforming of people that criticize the mainstream narrative.
Yeah, I mean, like, epistemologically, the sciences are themselves fine. The problem is, though, is that the sciences are run by, you know, human beings, and human beings respond to incentives. And sometimes those incentives can override the alleged safeguards that the intended safeguards we have for the scientific method, right? peer review doesn't exactly work to help you get closer to truth if all of the people peer reviewing you are ideologically captured, right?
All right, you and Anna Kasparian both supported that and called everyone crazy conspiracy theories.
Theory that has already been debunked by.
Already been debunked.
It was nothing more than a crazy, unhinged conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So who do you trust, right?
What do you trust?
Can't trust the legacy media outlet.
No, you can't.
It's because that was their narrative.
Yeah, wow, crazy how that happens. So anyway, it is pretty incredible. All things considered, it is pretty incredible going around and looking at all these dumbasses.
They want the right
some
results for their
conspiracy theories
politics.
End up true. Some conspiracy.
Yeah, and that's because, again, they have two layers. They have two different types of knowledge in the way that they organize these things. This is like for anyone who has their eschatological politics, right? The idea that man has a final state, the final perfected state that they couldn't potentially achieve through the historical process. Communists being like the obvious one, the National Socialists or Nazis being another one that comes up to mind. Fascists were one, but also like CRT, feminism, queer theory, fat studies, deaf studies, fucking disability studies, the animal rights groups. Anyway, all of these groups that have like their eschatological ethic. Like, it doesn't really matter what the reality of the situation is. They believe that through their transcended idea, right? That their idea, their unrealized idea of how reality can be. That's why it's called a speculative metaphysic, right? Because it's effectively a what if imposed onto reality. Their speculative metaphysic is more appealing to them than the reality. So they make the real into a lie, and then they make the speculative metaphysic that they concocted only in their head as reality. And that's why the results have to match the politics, is because they believe that they already understand what the truth is. So if the facts disagree with what they believe, then it's the facts that are wrong, not them, because they have the secret enlightenment, right? This is why funding needs to a complete overhaul. So much of it is show what we say or no more pay. Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened with ape communications research, right? It's like, oh yeah, we spent all this money trying to teach apes how to do sign language, and not a single one of them has ever constructed an actual sentence in sign language. It's like, interesting. Now, to be fair, a null hypothesis, right? A null result. So that's like when the hypothesis is tested and it results in like a disconfirmation, right? Those are still useful, but it's kind of hard to sell that to a Congress or a Senate where it's like, why should we keep your funding? Well, we got all these null results, so you got us back nothing, right? That's all they're gonna hear. But I digress. Let's see. At no point anything you said during that sentence covered a single hyperfocus, you proper autist. Possibly. Maybe my hyperfixation is on epistemology, right? So it covers all of it.
Theories are obviously insane. I think COVID broke our trust in the mainstream institutions to such an insane degree. People started funneling down the Candace Owens rabbit hole, where we have produced some of the dumbest freaking people on the face of the planet. Now, you know who you cannot trust? You cannot trust the Cenk Jungers, and you cannot trust the Tucker Carlsons. You cannot trust these people that are literally connected to foreign Islamist operations, that are literally blowing with the wind.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, like, because obviously I can't prove that, like, Tucker is getting paid by Qatar, but I would be very fucking shocked if he wasn't, to be perfectly honest. And I can't prove that, like, Candace is being paid by fucking Islamists. Wouldn't surprise me if she was, wouldn't surprise me if she wasn't, to be perfectly honest. But it is kind of funny that, like, there are people who are being accused of working for, like, Bibi, for Netanyahu, right? And it's like, oh yeah, these people were actually paid by Israel. And then it also turns out that the people complaining about people being paid by Israel are themselves being paid by places like Qatar and the Saudis, right? It's like, it's literally just a retard slap fight.
Just saying the popular opinion every single time. Or every single
Yes, exactly.
Cenk Junger said that we need lockdowns when everyone was saying we need lockdowns and the conspiracy theories are evil. And now Cenk Junger...
A null result is not a negative result, as a null result that cannot be measured, hence a null or absence. You know, that's a fair point. I misspoke on that. Thank you for bringing that up, because like that was actually a mistake on my part. let's see.
You're saying, oh, I can't believe people used to think that there was a conspiracy theory. And then you got Tucker Carlson, who drove to Mar-a-Lago to pressure Trump into locking down the entire country. Oh, you have to do it. People are going to die. We don't want people to die. That would be horrible. But also now he's making a 2-hour-long video saying I was right all along. It was a conspiracy theory. These are the people you cannot trust. These are the absolute dipshits that are manipulating us, that are being funded probably by foreign entities that probably do have connections to governments or CIA or whatever. And these absolute dipshits need to be destroyed. Thank you for your attention to this matter. These are propagandist morons. And we are winning the greater war here. It is for those of you that are unaware, we are actually winning. Either that or the Jews are tricking you into thinking that they're manipulative pieces of shit, but actually...
I would not count our chickens until they hatch, to be perfectly honest. Never doubt the right's ability to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory.
It's the Jews that are tricking you into the fact that they're lying all the time. The fact that they're literally lying constantly to support Islamic terrorism and support radical leftist like Jeffrey Epstein policy. You know, Epstein was pushing lockdowns and stuff. That's a coincidence. And the Jews are tricking you into noticing, probably. That's what I have to say. Not to say that Ben Shapiro is innocent here. He also was like...
I don't know. It's like you notice, again, you notice correctly that, like, again, Israel, especially with like its intelligence agencies, do stupid shit. And it's like, yes, we have been noticing. But then you notice Muslims do stupid shit as well. It's like, yes, we have been noticing. But then one noticing group will call the other noticing group retarded. And it's like, so you can notice the one thing, but you can't notice the other thing? Like, what are your powers of noticing selective, right?
Radically pro-lockdown, pro-mask, pro-vaccine. But at least...
Are we talking about foreign influence, humbug, conspiracy, right?
He admits that he was like that. He doesn't sweep it under the rug. And in my book, he was very wrong, but at least he admits he was wrong, whereas these guys are just straight up propaganda 24/7, whereas Ben Shapiro is only propaganda like 24/6. He doesn't work on Saturdays. Anyway. Anyway, this video is sponsored by you brave heterosexuals out there, because my channels are fully demonetized by YouTube because
I gotta make an animation. That's probably gonna be like the first thing I animate when I start doing the animation stuff. It's just gonna be my character saying that fucking from Nux, right? brought to you by you brave heterosexuals out there, right? It's just such a funny fucking line, right? All right, so here's part 2 of the video. It's not really part 2, but it's like, again, this really ties into it. So,
found out recently that Andrew Wilson was hired by Turning Point USA to teach their debaters how to become unstoppable. So the picture's kind of getting smaller and smaller, and this whole battleground is heating up more and more.
Well,
and this is a real strategy, not strategy. This is a real like concern, because it's like, it turns out debate is a skill that you have to actually practice. A lot of it is time management, and you can be absolutely correct on a subject matter and still lose a debate just because you don't understand how to actually navigate the debate format, right? Let's see.
The USA hired me to go down and train its new crop of debaters.
Now, this has caused many on the left, especially, to start to lose their minds. It's been pretty entertaining to see the response.
While I was down, EPUSA meeting with leadership and teaching their new crop of debaters how to kick the shit out of leftists, I get a DM from one Mr. Brian Shapiro.
So Brian didn't know Andrew was with Turning Point, and he happens to send Andrew a message.
Why is my model freaking out?
And you can't make this up when I tell you this. Brian said, everybody on the right hates you. Right, Andrew? And I said, really? Like who? And I'm not even kidding you. I'm going to read it for you verbatim. And Brian responds with, everybody at Turning Point USA.
Most people forgot to have how to have a conversation. You're not wrong. I wouldn't say most people. I think it's mostly on a very specific subset of the population, right? A specific ideological subset of the population who forgot how to have a conversation. But progressively speaking, yes, I think you could agree that like any group that you picked out and like you compared them to their even recent ancestors, I think that yes, the ability to have a conversation has definitely declined, and it only seems to be picking up, at least in my experience, because of, ironically enough, right, chat rooms where people can actually actually talk to each other. So it's kind of interesting.
Hey, I know them all. They're my friends, and we have private conversations.
As he's sitting there with the Turning Point people,
I asked him, like, you guys ever heard of this? Who the fuck is that? I mean, you could cut the irony with a knife.
this is literally the same strategy Brian Shapiro has tried with me.
There's people in this industry, you've done their shows, people on the right. They've told me in private conversations, multiple people, that it was a brutal interview with you.
What's interesting is that when I just asked him, okay, can you be specific? He couldn't.
Are you willing to say, like, who?
I will ask I will ask them.
The only name he provided was Tim Pool. I've never done an interview with Tim Pool.
That's not a good sign. Like, oh yeah, it was your debate. It was your conversation with Tim Pool that was like bloody and it was absolutely. What the fuck? Like, oh my god, how do you?
Did you tell him you were with him at that exact moment? Nope, I didn't. I said, you're right, Brian. Right.
And what's really funny is that Andrew didn't even tell Brian, I'm actually sitting with them right now, you fool. Like, he just played it off.
In fact, I responded to him and I said, you're right. Everybody hates me. Nobody likes me. Yes, I'll go eat worms. Those were my exact words.
I don't know what the clinical label for this kind of behavior would be. To me, it strikes me as a form of projection. People don't like you. People don't like you because there's some insecurity of people don't like me.
This guy sends me.
I mean, is it gaslighting? Like, is he trying to gaslight him? I will speak louder than you. Sometimes you got to do that on like voice chats, right? Like, is he looking for the word gaslight? Right? Trying to gaslight him, drive the guy crazy, make him think that like the people around him are against him. Like, like what the fuck? You confuse ability and desire to the left doesn't want to have a conversation; they just want to win. I've also had conversations with people on the right, and some of them don't really want to have conversations either. They just want to win, and some of them do want to have conversations. They're just not very good at it, right? So it is a case by case kind of basis. But yes, I do agree that in general. The left does not really want to have a conversation. They just want to win. And they don't even... A lot of the people who are in this camp might not even believe the things that they actually say that they believe, right? But, they just understand that it's a useful mechanism for them to get, power over other people, which is one of the things that's very common to desire on the left.
Endless messages, by the way. Every single day he sends me DMs.
There was one day I got 5 emails back to back before I even had time to respond. 5 separate emails.
I said to him, while I'm at this TPUSA Leadership Summit, training their debaters, I said, Brian, you guys pretend.
Asman is the Vosh of the right. I would contest that highly. Asmongold actually can articulate himself even when he's wrong. But he can actually articulate himself in a way that's actually reasonable and like he has some degree of integrity. Vosh is a raving fucking like propagandist. He has not an integrity. He does not have a single bone of integrity in his body. The highest form of integrity he has ever really said was when he said that he doesn't give a fuck about principled failure. His principle is winning, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter what the cost is. The only thing he cares about is winning. It doesn't matter what he has to do for it. Asman is the Asman of the middle. Basic. Yeah, right. But, that would, comparing Asmongold to Vosh would be insulting Asmongold. It would be a compliment to Vosh, funny enough. Even though Vosh would take it as an insult, right? He's becoming radicalized very nicely, though. It would be really... I wish he would think more from his, like, first principles, too, because Asmongold is one of those people who... I think he's earnest. I think he's honest, but I also think he overestimates what understanding human psychology actually does, because it's not just psychology. Sociology and psychology are different fields for a reason, right? The way groups, even in group psychology, works is, you know, a specialized field for a reason. And the real, it's not even psychology, though, to be perfectly honest. Like, the real root behind human activity is praxeology. If you want to really understand how human beings... Okay, hold on. I almost thought my computer crashed for a moment, right? So it's like, psychology is a good thing to understand, right? And so, like, when he talks about, like, oh, I understand human psychology, I mean, that's fine. But psychology isn't really going to help you predict, it isn't really going to help you deal with, for example, the economy. It's not really going to help you deal with sociology. It's not going to really help you deal with, again, any kind of religious, I don't want to say religious studies because it's communist propaganda, but the understanding the religion of a people. Like, there's all these different faculties that are distinct from psychology that actually do interplay with each other. The most important of these is praxeology, which comes at like the very beginning of human behavior in the first place, right? It is the very study of human action in and of itself. Eventually comes around to the truth of the situation. I think he's honest. So it's like, I respect the guy even when I disagree with him. If they can't establish communism now, it will never happen. That doesn't really matter to them, because the thing is they don't really care how long it takes, so long as they have a reason to actually struggle for their purposes. They will still continue to struggle for it. A lot of these people don't care. They've been in late stage capitalism for more than 100 years. They would willingly be in late stage capitalism for 500 years, still trying to fight for the communist revolution.
A lot of right wingers dislike me, but you never name any. Erudite did the same thing. That's weird.
And then we have the left losing their minds because of Andrew Wilson working with Turning Point. Now, this is where it gets very entertaining as well.
So I went over and trained all these guys up. I saw Z speaking about it. X, the head of the Unf America, not thrilled to have competent debaters over at TPUSA.
This is the thing too. It's like, I can't stand these people who, because they're gonna talk in this video later about the whole conspiracy theory of Candace Owens, right? I can understand how frustrating it is for a lot of people, right? Because we already know, we saw how many people just like gloated and fucking celebrated the death of a man in front of his, daughter and his wife, for the simple act of trying to have a conversation. Not even debating, just like having an actual conversation, right? So we are very well aware of how many people would celebrate if any of us had died, right? Because it's the thing that people point out is like, oh yeah, it's not that Charlie was particularly anything special. It was like he was literally just in front of everyone else, right? And that is true. So whenever they do this and they go and they try to absolve someone who seems to be, from what I can tell, very clearly guilty of the crime, what are they doing other than running defense for the left and like trying to take justice away from someone who had been murdered on the right? Like, granted, maybe they actually do believe that like the cops have the wrong person. That in itself is like, I don't really care about that part. The issue is, again, it's like it's still running defense for the left, because I don't really think that there is a good reason to think they have the wrong person, to be perfectly honest. I could be wrong, but I don't see how I am wrong. Let's see. He might understand the individual, but he lacks an understanding of how individuals change in groups. He has some understanding of it, but like we could get into like historical examples, right? I always bring up neutral Morse-net because everyone talks about like how people don't act in certain ways, and I'm like, well, we actually have a several hundred-year-long example of people acting in a way that people say people don't act. It is called neutral Morse-net, which was effectively an anarchist zone in the Middle Ages, because it was co-claimed by like 3 different kingdoms. No one wanted to touch it because it would trigger a war between the other 2 kingdoms. And so it was just allowed to effectively be an anarchist zone. And they did actually quite well. It was not exactly famed for crime, right? It was actually a functional society. So we know that certain ideas like anarchism actually work because we have historical precedent for it. Let's see. I mean, if they waited 70 years, why rush the end game and compromise it? Okay, so the thing about the dialectic is that it will always be able to come up with some bullshit excuse as to why we need to continue it. So when communism failed its orthodox prediction, right? When the oracular predictions of orthodox Marxism failed, they moved to more of a synthesis of capitalism and communism, right? In China, this expressed itself as Deng Xiaoping theory. It doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white so long as it catches mice. Which was basically a means of saying it doesn't matter whether the economy is command or a market so long as it actually moves the dialectic of history forward. So it was a way to figure out how to get the capitalist idea to serve the communist. And we had a similar movement. We actually had two similar movements in the West. We had managerialism, which is basically just communist subversion of HR departments, the invention and subversion of the HR department, if you will, right? As well as, deeper public-private partnerships, like the whole point of corporations in fascist Italy, which is what a lot of communists took inspiration from, because it turns out the fascists were themselves actually just students of communism, right? Giovanni Gentile in his early years was a practicing communist, and he just thought communism didn't work internationally, so he wanted to make communism for the local people, and that's where they came up with fascism. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. That's where all the managerialism bullshit came in. The complete subversion of your corporate, capitalist system to serve the ideological ends of the communists. And then you had the Gramscians take over all modes of artistic production because they understood that the mode of artistic production is actually important for cultural production, and that you couldn't just take the means of economic production, you had to take the means of cultural production as well, right? So yeah, that's why. It's because even if they fail at this, they will just come up with a new synthesis that will explain why the previous one failed. And the reason the previous one failed is, we didn't get into the dialectic deep enough. And now that we have, again, taken another step with the dialectic, we can try again. So it's a process that's never going to end. You're always going to have to deal with these bastards. They are not going to be like the Manichaeans. They're not just going to disappear because the entire world turned on them, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. To go up in a large ball of flames, everyone wants to go out like a wrecking ball, right? Oh, God. Hello, Glasspool, by the way. Hello, Crimson Rain. The moment when anarchism works better than communism, I mean, it does. Most people think anarchism just means lawlessness, but it's no, that's actually not. In fact, actually, that definition of anarchism was basically invented by communists, right? So it's not a definition I would put too much stock into. A lot too much to summarize. Yeah, the Hegelian diuretic. Ooh, that okay. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna use that.
She confronted Andrew right after this. It's worth looking at.
Listen, nobody wants you in Turning Point. Charlie himself did not want you in his event. So why are you now trying to act like you were the biggest fan of Charlie Kirk? Get the fuck out of here.
Can you show any proof Charlie didn't want me at any
Charlie
events?
Kirk liked me more than he liked you. Let's be honest.
Some proof?
Is this really an argument, though? Like that Charlie likes one person better?
And notice how similar the strategy is. No one likes you, Andrew. Charlie didn't actually like you. That's the best argument she can come up with. And this is the organizer of the organization that was meant to.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're not trying to have a real conversation with the guy. They're trying to demoralize him, right? That's the entire point. They're trying to, again, seed falsity in his mind. They're trying to change the way he interfaces with the world and people around him to destroy him. That's the entire purpose here. They're trying to demoralize him. It's just Andrew doesn't give a shit about them, right? So it's what the fuck does he care? And based, by the way. And he also knows that they're fucking lying subversives. So why would he take them seriously? Let's see. Not enough damage done, lol. It's a lot. Oh, okay, we already said that part. Skyrim equals capitalism, Bethesda and Nexus mods equal communism.
to be the opposite, the left's turning point.
At the end of the day, Andrew, my whole point here is that you're pretending like you actually gave a shit about Charlie Kirk when you didn't.
Okay,
you
great.
never cared about him while he was alive. You don't care about him now that he's dead.
Sure.
You're just trying to clout chase off of this shit because you know it gets
awful.
views.
Do you have proof?
So what does Andrew do? He asks for evidence, which is what you must do.
Again, did you ever go to a Turning Point event?
Did I ever try to?
Oh, exactly, because you didn't care about Charlie when.
See, this is also a bullshit statement because, like, what if, for example, the martyrdom of Charlie actually, got someone to realize, like, hey, I need to do something, right? And then they go and they try to join Turning Point USA, and then to do what needs to be done in light of all the things that have happened, right? That's not something to deride someone for, and yet she's trying to deride him for this. Again, because they're not actually trying to have a real conversation here. They're just trying to degrade the man, make him feel bad, hopefully demoralize him because it turns out he is an actual threat. So the woman he's talking to is almost certainly a communist subversive. So again, they don't want the conversation. Exactly. That's why they're going after him. Because here's the thing. Andrew Wilson, there's a lot of people who think Andrew Wilson is kind of a jackass, but he's not. Andrew Wilson only really starts becoming aggressive with you if you actually slight him, right? If you disrespect him, then the gloves come off, and it's like, that's entirely fair. But yeah, like, in general, if you don't insult him, if you're not a cunt, right, then he's actually quite polite and he's quite agreeable. So it's like, yeah, that there's a reason why they don't want him to be involved in this, because they want to see Turning Point USA collapse and crumble.
He was alive, and you don't care now that he's dead.
That's quite a claim. Let's look at her logic.
You literally just said you never even tried to get into a Turning Point event.
So what? What does that have to do with anything?
Because you didn't care about Charlie Kirk.
I never went to a Turning Point event. I don't like going to events. Does that mean I didn't respect or admire Charlie Kirk's work?
That's a good point. I too actually hate fucking going to rallies and stuff like that.
Why would that? How does that even equal? How does that equal?
If you
out?
cared about Charlie Kirk, why would you not go to his events?
So that again, that doesn't make any sense, because like by that logic, does that mean that cripples can't have cared about Charlie Kirk? Right? If a man is in an iron lung, right, and he finds Charlie Kirk's again speeches inspiring, and it inspires him to love his life, right? Because he talked a lot about like the value of human life, right? Like let's just say that like gave him a positive view, it taught him a positive view of human life. The man is in an iron lung. He can't go to a convention. It doesn't mean that he's not still a supporter or someone who cared about Charlie Kirk, right? That's fucking ridiculous. Home and back, also playing Wedding Witch, based, right? Andrew debated 16 Marxists at a time, unfair for the Marxists. Yeah, absolutely, right? Andrew only ever feeds back the energy he gets. He's also a perfect mirror. Exactly. Let's see. Building a net of local leadership of populations of 5,000 or less tied into a larger net would work best for running a country infrastructure-wise. I don't know about that, but I'd be interesting to see the math behind that.
My evidence is an absence of evidence. You never went to a Charlie Kirk event. That's my evidence. You're doing all of this as a grift.
So that's what I did. Went over to their Capitol compound in Arizona, and I started training their debaters.
Make no mistake, this is an all-out declaration of war. I think they have come to realize that, well, our strategy has not been working.
And seeing that America feeds into it, the liberal op, to TPUSA, under Z, they don't care. So I put in a little request of my own, TPUSA. I requested that they hire me as the official Charlie Kirk conspiracy theorist liaison.
Andrew is going to do what Andrew does best, and he's going to take the fight and say, I will debate all of you.
So all these like Baron Coleman and Candace Owens and all of them, I will be happy to go answer all of your questions that you have, as long as we can do it live.
All of you, any of you.
See, again, this guy's putting his money where his mouth is, right? It's like, you know what? I will stand on business. I can actually do this. Now, not everyone could do this, right? It turns out that like speaking live to another person and like even debating live each of them take their own unique sets of skills, right? So it's like, just because someone doesn't do live debates doesn't necessarily mean they don't know what they're talking about. They just might not be able to manage time effectively in like a debate format. And they may just be a better researcher than they are a debater. That kind of stuff does happen. But, you know, because a lot of, again, Mantis Wave has a whole video on debates particularly, right? Where it's like, if you learn how to manipulate the constraints of a debate, you can actually come off as significantly more capable than you actually are. Let's see. Never occur the cosmic wrath, for she goes from fair enough to fear enough in a debate. Sounding kind of communist there, right? You want to play this game? Fine, let's have some fun, is all I hear right now. Exactly.
Anywhere you want, just make it live. So far, none of the top names, from what I can see, have taken him up on this.
Andrews.
I might be misremembering this, because I thought that this was the video where like he was debating one of these Kirk conspiracy people. And because I remember something about like him debating one of these people, and they just not fucking giving anything to like evidence their point. And Andrew Wilson just rightly points out, it's like, no, you're completely misunderstanding how burden of proof works. Burden of proof doesn't mean that I have to do all the work and you don't have to do anything. It means that you have to actually engage with the evidence that I provide, right? Hold on, let me see if I can find it, because I thought that that's what we were watching, but it seems not to be the case. It looks like I'm accidentally making a decently long episode, right? Okay, let's see. Let's try this, actually. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so that's the leftist one. Kirko mid interview backfires. Scope is when. Let's see. Smarted Vosh. Maybe I was misremembering something. Interesting. Maybe my memory is failing me. Okay. This is also a fucking great thing that he's talking about right here, about the Islam expose. That was a fucking great troll, and it proved his point. Holy shit. Could have sworn, because I was listening to someone debate Andrew Wilson earlier on the actual Charlie Kirk assassination evidence, and it was like, man, I haven't seen someone fucking bodied this bad in a debate in a long time. Holy crap. Okay, I might have to find it for another time. Welcome back. Yeah. All right, let's go back here.
Compromised? Well, maybe you should have your heroes challenge me to a debate, and let's see who's compromised.
It's going to be interesting to watch what happens in the day.
It's going to be interesting watching people call Andrew Wilson an Israeli shill, even though Wilson has been very outspoken on how he does not support Israel. Right? It's going to be very, because you know there's going to be some retard who's going to be like, ah, yes, he's clearly being paid by Netanyahu. And it's like, I don't think he would Wilson would not take that money. He's already been very much on the record on why it's a little bit of magical thinking, but why he doesn't particularly like Israel. Not in the sense of like it shouldn't exist ontologically speaking, but more along the lines of like he doesn't like entanglement in Israel, right? So young to lose his memory, a shame, right? It's already becoming Alzheimer's, right? Already suffering the dementia. Did you pick up your official King of the Hill style Alamo beers? Oh God.
Days ahead.
For some reason, I got a feeling these people are going to go hide under their head.
We just had Brian from the Whatever podcast offer Candace Owens, I believe, $50,000 if she would be willing to come debate Andrew. I would love to see that. I think my mind is open to being changed.
I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Wilson would fucking eviscerate Owens.
For sure. Personally, I have no problem with people who want to discuss the discrepancies, the things that are not easily explained, the things we do not clearly have answers to yet. What we need is for these debates to occur, but they don't seem to be happening.
Let's have a talk. I'm a nice guy. I just want to talk to you. That's it. We're begging them. Come on, let's chat. Can we chat today? Can we chat today? Can we chat today? Can we chat today? Now? You want to do it now? When you want to have a talk? Candace and Barron are actually investigating. They don't investigate shit. They're not investigating nothing.
I mean, yeah, especially after he managed to troll Candace with that very obvious, like, bait. Yeah. I think he has every right to be pissed at this, to be perfectly honest. Beers at HEB?
They're raking in the cash with a bunch of dumbass theories that I'm going to blow out of the water in 5 minutes.
Suddenly, no one wants to debate. This is not about how I feel about Andrew Wilson, Candace Owens, or any of these personalities. To me, this is about what does the evidence indicate.
Yeah, and a lot of these people have actually gone and done debates before, right? I don't know how well they did in those debates, because let's be fair, public debates are oftentimes very underwhelming. But yeah, it's interesting. A lot of these people will debate a bunch of people, but as soon as like someone who actually has a proven track record on this issue, it's like, yes, I think I'm gonna dip out, right? It's very telling.
You can understand where Sean Ryan's coming from, where almost all these people are coming from. You lose me when you refuse to have the debate, though.
All such inquiry.
I don't care about debates, to be perfectly honest. Like, an actual conversation is the thing that you can have, because you can actually cover all of the debate subject matter in a long form conversation, and you can actually get into more depth in a conversation than a debate, because again, in a debate you have a time contract, you have an issue of time limits. Now that's by design, because debates are not a normal conversation, but I digress.
We'll now be going through the crucible, and I will be happy to go on your channel to answer all of your questions. What questions would you like answered? Just remember that it has to be live and live streamed so that I can go over and have a nice chat with you.
So, I really hope people take him up on what the fuck is that? Anyway, I really hope that people take him up on his offer, because, like, I kind of want to see, unless it's Alex Jones. I haven't heard anything about what Alex Jones, I haven't heard Alex Jones say anything about the whole Kirk situation, to be perfectly honest. So I'd be interested to see what he has to think about any of this. But, I guess that'll be the end of this particular episode. So I guess y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, and I'll see y'all in the next video.